Okay, it is 11 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn this off. I am Jon Balter. I'm with Seamless Solutions. Seamless Solutions is a business optimizer, and we really work and support and help companies with their managed IT, managed print, any kind of office equipment that you may need. We are truly an A to Z kind of company. We can do everything from cabling all the way up to cloud hosting. We have our own colo. We also work with Microsoft as a partner. I'm a Microsoft facilitator. Today we are going to work on some stuff around the Microsoft 365, something near and dear to my heart, which is SharePoint and OneDrive. So just to start out with, just so you understand, when you log into Microsoft 365, you have this little waffle up in the top corner, and in there you have OneDrive and SharePoint. You may wonder what the differences are between the two. And just so you understand, the SharePoint file storage actually uses the architecture of the OneDrive system. So they are similar in features and functionalities. OneDrive you can think of as almost a personal repository that each individual can share. So if I create a location in OneDrive, let's create a new folder, and we'll call it Demo Shared Files. I'll then have a new folder in there. If I want to take that folder and share it to other people, that whole folder, I can use this little button right here or click on the three buttons. So these three little dots right here, this is where we can get to more features. And you can see here, this is where we can move things. We can manage our access. So right now, if I manage access, nobody has access. I can share it. And once I share it, I can do it in a whole bunch of ways. So if I click on that little edit button there, I'm going to go back and do that one more time. So right now, the default for this organization, our organization, is anyone with this link can edit it. It does have an expiration time on it. So we only allow editing for 5 days and then we turn it off. This way, any link that's given out, it's not eternal. I can set a password in here. So I could set a password and it'll tell me it's a weak password or it's a fair password or it's a super strong password. I can allow editing or not allow editing. And then I can say anyone with the link, anybody with inside my organization, any people with existing access, or specific people. So I'm going to just do anyone can have access so I can show you guys kind of what this looks like. And I'm going to apply. And then I'm actually going to copy this link. So copy the link for me. And just to have some fun here, I'm actually going to paste this in our chat bar here. And anybody that wants to can actually go out to this test website and see this. So I'm going to create a new document in here with Word. And it's saving that document right now, and it's saved. And I'm just going to come off of it. So in a few minutes, that new document, I don't really like not just calling it document. Let's give it a real name. Let's rename it, and we're going to call it Demo for OneDrive. And since I allowed it for editing into that folder, anybody that has that link in a few minutes here can actually go onto that OneDrive, go into that document and add edits. We'll come back to this later and see if anybody actually does that, but for now it's right there. So these are my files. These are files that are mine. If somebody shares files with me, I'll have this little button over here that says shared, and I can see what files were shared with me. Shared by you, shared with you. So really easy to understand. All of this I'm doing through the web browser. I am doing this right now in Chrome. You can do it in Edge, Safari, any of the other browsers. I actually find Edge is actually a little easier than any of the other ones, but I'm still an old Chrome fan, so I still use Chrome. If I have files that I need to share amongst the entire group or the entire company and things that multiple people in my company may need access to, instead of doing it out of a personal OneDrive, I can do it out of SharePoint. So that's the major difference there, is that if I'm doing file sharing with SharePoint, it's things that are going to be shared amongst the entire company, not just to myself, right? So these are files that I'm not necessarily just going to use, but everybody's going to use. So I have a demo site here. See if that one's still a valid site, and it is. And so there, when you go into SharePoint, you can see it's actually a website, but it also has files in it, okay? And that's really what we're going to focus on today, are the files. We're not going to focus on all the little accoutrements that you can add to a SharePoint site. You can add notebooks and you can add other pages and other pieces to it. But today, we're going to stay focused on just that one. So let me go back there. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to click on that. Demo site. And I'm going to click on documents because that's where we're going to focus today, are the documents. So these are just documents that are stored on this SharePoint site. So a SharePoint site can be used similar to what we used to use back in the old days, or a lot of you are probably familiar with like an L drive or an S drive or an X drive, right? Those are shared drives that are stored on a server someplace. But instead of storing the files on a server, I'm storing them out on the 365 SharePoint cloud. So it's just changing terminology. The difference is with these shared files, I have a recycle bin that I can restore them to, and also I can actually look at the versions of them, which makes it extremely valuable to go into a file and be able to see if there were other versions of this file. So I can look at the version history. It's going to tell me there were 2 versions of this file, who edited it and when. So it's nice to be able to go back and look at versions. You can do that both in SharePoint and in OneDrive. So those versions are there. So click on scan documents. These are all just one-time documents. So of course, they're just going to have one history on them. If I want to use this as a shared directory, right? If I want this directory to be exactly like it was when it was a shared directory on a server, I want it to show up like a shared directory in my Explorer, my File Explorer. By the way, this little folder is called File Explorer, if you were unaware of what the term was. So in here, you can see I have my company, Copyco, that's our company. And then these are my SharePoint sites that I've brought down. So I have documents, and then I decided to bring down scans separately. So here's demo documents and here's scans. Same exact location. I just have it in here twice. Here's my OneDrive. This is my personal OneDrive. And then this is the company SharePoint sites. So if I wanted to move files from my documents or some other location in here, right, I can do it quite simply and easily by dragging and dropping. So if I have those files, sorry about that, I have my little sticky note open. So if I have this file here and I want it in my SharePoint site, let's say I want it in my documents and I want it in this HTTP test or HP test, I can just take it and drop it over here and copy it here. You'll see the status shows 2 little arrows, and then it's going to go to a checkbox in a few seconds. What it's doing is down here, I have running the OneDrive app, and that OneDrive app is syncing those files up. Oh, somebody asked, are we going to receive the recording later? Yes, I'll actually post it on our YouTube channel. And if you're a current customer with Seamless and using our managed network services and you have any questions, you can always reach out to our IT support at 713-800-6670 or email us at support@seamlesssolutions.com. I'll put a sticky note up later about what those numbers are again, so if you missed them. Oh, my direct number. You can call me there, but our support team can also help you out. Okay. So you need this little OneDrive app. So people are always like, well, Jon, that's great. How do I get the OneDrive app? Well, it's really not hard. So if I'm on OneDrive right here, all I have to do is click the sync button. Okay. And the first time I click that sync button, it's going to allow me to download the latest version of that OneDrive app. I would tell you always to trust your own site. So trust your own SharePoint site is always a good thing. It'll open it. So it's already being sunk. So you're already syncing it. Don't worry about it. Basically is what it's telling me. And here's the files that it's syncing. If I need to get that app, I can click here and say, get the app. It'll download that app, and I just need to run the installer. Right? It's just an installer. It's like any other installer we've used for applications for years and years and years. Once it's downloaded, though, there are a few options in here I want to point out. So it's going to ask you, do you want to backup? Do you want to manage your backup of your folders? So you can back up your desktop, you can back up your documents. It's going to tell me right now, I can't back up this document because there's an Outlook PST in it, and you got to move that out before you can back it up. So you can't back up documents if there's a PST. So I don't know why there's a PST file in there, but we can just get rid of it. And now it'll say, okay, you can back them all up, start backing up. This is great because not only if I need to find my files or if something happens, I'll have all my documents from my local desktop now. My desktop will now be brought up. So if I'm one of those people who likes to have 100 documents on their desktop and is always worried about backing them up, this will back them up for you. And then additionally, if I ever get a new computer, all I got to do is go to that computer, install my OneDrive app, and it'll pull down my desktop and my documents back to me. So there's the documents folder. It's already uploading them. You can see these little 3 arrows on there. So you see those 3 little, I guess, ray, that's telling you that it's a new document. It just got uploaded. That'll stay for a little while and then it'll disappear. But it's syncing all those documents from my local desktop back up to the cloud, so it's accessible anywhere. So people always ask me, well, Jon, how did you get here? Well, really easy. I went to office.com. Once I was here, it had a login. It let me log in. That's all it is. Office.com. Microsoft went out and bought office.com so that they own that site. I don't know what they spent on it, but it was probably pretty pricey. And then if I need to get to OneDrive, it's off to my left. It's that little cloud, or I can click here on my little application selector and I can go there. Chris was asking, do we have a YouTube channel? Absolutely. Seamless Solutions does have a YouTube channel. Oh, that's not it, though. I pulled up the wrong one. Sorry. There it is. And you can subscribe to the Seamless Solutions YouTube channel. There's some beautiful pictures of me. There's my last tips and tricks on Outlook. Anything you need. I'll drop that link into the chat for anybody who wants it and wants to go subscribe. We don't have a whole lot of subscribers, but we do post things up there. People always ask me where our videos are at, and that's where we post them at. You know, things like copying money on Savin equipment. Why doesn't it work? So how to make a 1 to 2 sided document. We did that one. Anything that you guys want, just let us know and we'll add another video. We're starting to get more and more videos like this one to add up every month. Okay. So that's how to physically move. Like if I need to move one file from my desktop into OneDrive, I can do it that way, right? But that's not really effective, right? I can also move a whole bunch at one time and copy them. I can paste them. And it's going to upload those documents for me. The other methodology your admin will have to do, but your admin can do an import into OneDrive or into your SharePoint straight from different applications. So I'm going to sign off here. I'm going to log in as myself as an admin. You know what? I'll just open a different browser. Of course, it's going to sign me in automatically because I have it set like that. This is what it looks like when you're not signed in. Say no thanks, I don't need your wallpaper. Clicking on the little guy over here if you want, or you can click in other places to sign in. They kind of make it everywhere that's possible. I'm going to sign in as myself. It's a work account. Very important. You can actually have work accounts and personal accounts that have the same email address, but I wouldn't suggest it. It's not something I would suggest you doing, is having your work and your personal one or Microsoft accounts together. Of course, now it doesn't want to take my password. And because I have multi-factor authentication turned on, which is something I would suggest for everybody if you don't already have done, it wants me to go approve it. So I will go approve it. So even if you have my username and password, it wouldn't do you any good because I do use multi-factor authentication. So in the admin portal, you have to click show all here. Scroll down, you have to go to your SharePoint admin. Even though this works with OneDrive, the migration tool is actually only in the SharePoint admin right now. And then there's a big button over here for migration, and you can click on that button. And so once I'm here, you can see you can pull in files from the old file share. So if you have an old file share manager, an on-prem file share, you can move files and copy them over through this tool. There's the ability to move stuff from Box, right? This is a competitor to DropBox if you don't know what Box is. And then Google Workspace. This is if you're using the OneDrive competitor from Google. It's Workspace. And then, of course, our great Dropbox. And then if you have an old legacy SharePoint site, you know, you can move it in from there. Or other cloud environments. They have some other cloud environments that are less common that you can move from. One being SharePoint, another SharePoint online site to a SharePoint online site. So let's go to Dropbox just because that's probably one of the most common ones. And it's saying I'm not connected to Dropbox. I'm not going to connect to my personal Dropbox, but you can move and migrate files from one folder to another through this process. Okay. Log myself out. I got to log back in. So let's go see if anybody made any edits to our document. Look at that. Lots of edits from our document. I can actually see some people are still in there. So I have a guest contributor. Somebody from the UK went in there and edited my document. I can also come in here though, remember, and I can manage that access. So I gave out that link. I can actually turn it off if I want to. So one of the easy things to do is just go back into your sharing and you can turn off that link. So now the link no longer allows editing. I can even block it from being downloaded if I want to. If I allow editing, I can't do that. But if I turn off editing and it's in read-only mode, then I can make it only accessible for you to see. But you can see that document got edited by a whole bunch of people. So now we're going to have a version history. Look at that version history. So if I ever need to revert the document back, I can open the other file and see what it was like at different times. And then I can compare it against the current version. Pretty cool. But this allows you to do multiple edits across, groups. So I don't have to take a file, send it back and forth through email. I can actually share the link and then use it that way. I can also see those links in my documents themselves. Here's that shared file. I can see that I'm sharing out the folder. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the three little dots at the top. Manage access. And then there's my link. And I can delete it. So you guys no longer have access. So if you still have that link, which is up at the beginning, you can always go in and get rid of it. Chris wants me to remind you, please don't have multiple accounts with the same email address with OneDrive. It does cause a lot of problems. If you have a personal account and then a business account with the same email address, it causes a ton of issues for IT staff, especially around syncing. So right now, nobody has access, no shares, but we can share it out again. But pretty easy to get into, manipulate the document. You can see now nobody else is Oh, there's still people in there editing. Did I not turn that off? I thought I did. Oh, because the link was active when you guys got in, so until I boot you. You can still edit until you're booted. But pretty cool stuff. Really, the idea of SharePoint and OneDrive is to help you eliminate things like file servers and storing things locally. I will warn you that Microsoft makes no guarantees on backups, and so it's always a good idea to have a third-party backup solution running, something that's independent. We sell one at $2.50 a month. It's very inexpensive, $2.50 a month per user for your OneDrive, or $2.50 a month per SharePoint site. So extremely inexpensive to back this stuff up and have a 1-year retention. There is a recycle bin here. And then if it's not in this recycle bin, you can see here there's actually a secondary recycle bin. So things that get deleted go here, and then things that get deleted go to the secondary. And then actually, believe it or not, there's an admin recycle bin that's even past all of this. Okay, so if I come into files, and let's go into this, find a folder here that has something in it. Sure, pictures. Okay, no pictures. Lexmark brochures, I put some stuff in here. Okay, great. So if I delete this, it's not gone, it just goes to my recycle bin, and then from my recycle bin, it'll go to the next level, then the next level, then the next level. So even if I delete it here, I'm gonna refresh again. So it's gone out of my recycle bin, but I have my secondary stage recycle bin, and there it is. And if I want to restore it, you can see how quick and easy it is to click that restore button and restore things right back to where they were at. So it gives you that if somebody deletes something, you can restore it. If somebody deletes something again, you can restore it again. And even if they delete it here, the admin does have the ability for the next 90 days to go restore any file. But it's only 90 days. After 90 days, there is no retention unless you pay for that additional backup from us or somebody else. If I want to restore it, I'm restoring it. It's restored. Go back to my files, Lexmark brochures, and there it is again. I have no idea what this bitmap is, but it's just a test file anyhow. If you want to create SharePoint sites without having to go through a lot of work, OneDrive has actually made it quite easy. And that's these create shared libraries. So you can click create shared library. It's going to walk you right through. What do you want to name the shared library? You know, invoices. And then you can add, oh, it is available. And then you can type in whoever you want to be members of this library, right? So I can make Chris Stacy. I can make Christopher Espino. I can do advanced. Advanced will let me change a couple settings. People always get confused what public and private is. Public just means that anybody can see the directory. It doesn't mean that they actually have access to it. It just means that they have permission to see it. You can actually block them from having access to it by default. But I'm gonna leave it private. I can create it. And what it's going to do now is it's going to create a SharePoint site for me. And that's going to allow me that SharePoint site. That's what it just did. It created this SharePoint site, and there's now the ability to put documents in here. People are always like, well, John, what if I don't want to download like on somebody else's computer and I need to get something up here? Well, you know, you can do it the old-fashioned way and click upload file, go find the file you want, right? This is the file I want, upload. It's going to upload the file. Okay. Or look how cool this is, man. There's drag and drop. Bam. Drag and drop again. It's smart enough to know it's already there. Do you want to keep both? Sure, keep both. It's going to add that sign for you. Can members be outside of your organization? Depends on your settings. So there's some admin settings with OneDrive and SharePoint that have to be set up to allow outside. It's a permission setting, but yes, you can share outside, especially in OneDrive. It's very easy to share outside. You saw me do it. I was able to share outside, but you can see on our SharePoint site that I created, I did not allow for anyone to be shared to outside. That's a setting that we have. Your organization has prevented you from selecting this option. So it's up to your organization, right? But you can always say specific people and apply, and then type in an email address and send it to it. So you can always send to anybody you want, but you have to give it a specific piece. You can also change view and edit right here. You can see the link settings. Once again, turn off editing. We can block or don't block. So that not being able to download is nice because it stops people from downloading the file if you don't want them to download it. It doesn't allow them to edit and won't allow them to download it. And people always ask, well, can you get around it? Sure. You can take a screen print of it. You can grab your phone out of your pocket and take a picture of it. There's no way to 100% prevent everything in the universe, but it does prevent a lot of the screen capture softwares, but not all of them. There are additional features. I'm not going into everything. You can export this list into Excel. There are power apps that Microsoft has added if you have those features, and then automation. You can create a workflow that goes through processing and things like that, like approvals and stuff like that. I'm not going to go into all that today because we'd have to configure a workflow and do all that. But I just want to let you know that there are more features out there. Once again, if I wanted to sync this new directory, right, I can just click sync. It says I'm now syncing it. And click here. And now you see invoices is right here added. You'll see that I have little clouds next to everything. That's because I have in my settings a very important setting set. And that's right here. I want to save space and I don't want to download things. If you want more information on it, you can click this little more information tab. It's going to take you to a huge, document that talks about how this all works. It even has a little video on how it works. Basically, and the short answer is it keeps a little thumbnail until I need it. And then if I want this document, when I double click on it, you can see it went from the cloud to the little arrow. It sunk it down for me so I can use it. Now, if I'm on a plane, that's not going to do me any good, right? If I'm on a plane, I try to pull down from the internet. There's no internet to pull down that from. I can't get it. Well, I mean, now planes, we have Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. So not necessarily, but if you were offline, you'd want to download these beforehand. If I do need to download them all, I can always say free up space or always keep these files on my device. So if I want to keep all three of these on my device at all times, I just click that and now it'll keep them all. It'll always keep them there. And if I say, hey, I don't want to do that, free up some space, now it's just going to push them back to the cloud, make sure I don't have any space used. Super easy, right? Super easy. Right click, right? These features right here. I can go into settings, right? I can see my settings for my OneDrive again. If you have a slow internet, you can use your network and you can throttle, which basically means limit the amount of uploads and downloads. So if you have a very small window, you can do that. And you can allow it to adjust automatically on the upload. Usually these are if you have problems with your internet and you have a slow internet. Most people nowadays, internet speed and size isn't a major ordeal. Some additional features you can change and set. If I want to stop syncing, like let's say I don't want to sync invoices anymore, I can just come in here and say stop syncing this one, stop syncing it, and it'll stop syncing this folder. And you see now it's empty. In a little bit, it won't be sunk. Pretty easy to do. Let's say I went, oh man, I wanted to sync that one. I just sync it again. It'll say, well, there's already a folder on your PC. Do you want to use that one? Yeah, use that same folder. You're good to go. If you add a shortcut to My Files, it just adds it to your OneDrive. So you have a shortcut in there. So if I add this to My Files, it was unable to sync this invoice because it conflicts. Do you want to unsync? It's because I already have it syncing down. I'd have to stop syncing it first. And now I have a shortcut in My Files. So My Files. See how it has like a little link there? Let me zoom in. See how it's a link? It's not actually like a folder. See, when you share it, it's got a little person in there. And a little person. Here's got a little link. So when I click on it, I'm still on the same SharePoint site. It's just a different way to get there. Same thing with the SharePoint site. There's a recycle bin, and then there's the secondary recycle bin too. And then there's the admin recycle bin also. Let's go back to SharePoint here. Go to my demo site. Go to my documents. Go to information here. I can see all the details, everything that's been done inside that SharePoint site right here. It's going to tell me who edited things, who changed things, who updated things. The other nice thing is by default, Microsoft 365 has some features in there that will send you notifications when a whole bunch of files are deleted. So if somebody goes in and deletes a whole folder that had 10,000 files in there, you're going to get an email that says, hey, dear Mr. Admin, I just wanted to let you know that there's some suspicious activity and you might want to go check it out. So really cool. All this does is change your view. So if you like the view better like that, if you like grid view or not grid view, it's up to you. I personally don't like grid view, but if you like it, it's up to you. You can do a compact list. That's always a little nicer. You can do tiles if you want it as tiles. You can even create a new view or save a view, whatever you want to do. So just some additional features. You go back to compact list because that's the one I like the best. You can actually add new columns. So if you want something in there, right? Date and time. You can create a date and time column. When proofing it. So Wendy asked a question that she likes proofing documents. It's easier when she opens them in on the desktop. It doesn't matter. If I have the OneDrive app running, I can open in browser or open an application. So if I open it in the application, it's going to ask me, do I trust it? Of course I trust it. If I have it on OneDrive, right, one of the nice features is I don't have save. I have autosave turned on. So if I make edits, it just automatically saves them. And you'll see right here, it says saving, and then it'll say saved. If you want to push it faster, you can click the little save button. And then whenever you close out of it, it's automatically going to save it no matter what. So if I open it in the application, even if I don't click save and I close it out, it's going to take a second. It's going to save it. And then if I open it up over here, that Dear John is already there. So really quick and easy. It will take a few seconds depending on if you're syncing a whole bunch of files or not, because I have a pretty small OneDrive that only I have access to for this demo. It happens in seconds. All right, guys, we got about 15 minutes. Are there any questions out there? If there are, you can put them in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them. This little feature right here is called Sticky Notes, by the way. If you haven't used it, it's kind of cool out of Windows 10. I really like it. How do you exit a document without saving it? Oh, great question. There is no great way of doing it. If I'm in OneDrive, let's go back up. We'll open up. So if I do it in the browser, there's no way of doing it. If I do it in the application, what I have to do before, if I don't want to save it, is turn off autosave. And then if I don't save, when I close, you're going to get that standard message we always used to get, right? Save, don't save, cancel. But if that autosave is on, it's going to save it no matter what. If you want to make this a unique document, do save a copy at. And it's going to save it in the same location. Then it'll tell you here, if you want changes and restore this file in history, blah, 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 blah. And then I can turn off autosave if I don't want it. If I'm in the application, the way to get to the history, by the way, this is kind of, a lot of people miss this. So File, Info, Version History. And then you'll have the version history over here. This is the one that we just created. So let me go back to the original one. Let's open that in the application. File, Info, Version History. And then there's all the different version histories. Somebody asked, do I provide individual training classes? Yes, Seamless does provide individual training classes. Just email me at jbalter@seamlesssolutions.com. I'm happy to get you the info on it. It's just a per hourly charge, and then we open it up and you can actually talk and all that kind of stuff. Are there any other questions, guys? I don't want to keep you if there aren't questions for me. How do you leave the file server in the dust? This is the exact way to do it, is to use that migration tool that I showed you. That's in the admin portal, and you can just migrate everything up to OneDrive or SharePoint, depending on where they need to go. Like if you have files that are in individual people's folders, I would just migrate those to their OneDrives and and then if it's a shared folder that everybody needs access to, then I would migrate those to SharePoint sites. I would suggest always try to limit your SharePoint sites. Like if you have one folder that's shared and then multiple folders underneath, upload each one of those as individual folders and not as one big SharePoint site. Bigger SharePoint sites start to use up a lot of bandwidth for syncing, where smaller ones are a little better. Also, additionally, just so you understand size, every individual user that has a OneDrive account has 1 terabyte of space for a business account. And for SharePoint, the entire organization has 1 terabyte plus 10 gigabytes per license that's added that's acceptable. So if I have 100 users, then I'm making it to 2 terabytes. If you need additional space, there are ways to buy additional space. Oh, somebody was asking what does it look like when you're sharing a document outside for users? Well, you guys got to see one, right? I shared that folder. I can share this. So if you want to see it, you can just click on that link. You can see what it looks like. That's what it's going to look like. I can share it also again. And this time we can make it so you can't download it, so you can see what that looks like. Of course, my window's too small. Oh, come on. So don't allow editing. Don't allow you to download it. And we'll call it demo will be our password. And I'll apply it. And I'll show you what that looks like. And don't save my password there. Thank you. I'll create that link and I'll drop that one in there so you can see the difference between the two. So if I wanted that link, I can just drop it over here. And it's going to say, well, what's your password? Well, demo. And you can see I'm in there, but I can't edit it. Oh, I can edit it because I'm the admin. Sorry, I'm the user. And of course, I've got 2 different links going. So one is editable and one is not. Somebody asked, do I have a preferred tool for administering OneDrive to be able to see who people are sharing their OneDrive with? I don't. Because we're an MSP, we try to stay away from privacy issues, and that would be a privacy violation for us to manage people's, like, what can you share with or who. We make recommendations, and then companies choose what they want. But normally things that are on their OneDrive, depending on your company's permissions or your promiscuity, I think it's the way it's actually said, is up to each individual company. And once those settings are set, we don't really edit them or monitor who you're sharing your files with. Well, number one, we don't want to know if you're sharing them, and then number two is it's not our business to know. Any other questions, guys? Anything else I can help out with? Last couple minutes here. By the way, you can put anything you want in a SharePoint site. If it's a file, it can go in here, and that includes executables, right? So we downloaded an executable application and copy that. I can go over to my OneDrive. I can paste that application, and it'll be up on my OneDrive for me to work with. It'll take a second. It hasn't synced, or it's syncing right now. And then it's there. Refresh my screen. There it is. And it'll tell me that this item is not shareable. But I can share it. It's the weirdest thing. It's not being shared. It can be shared. Sorry. I can definitely email the link to the YouTube out to everybody very easily. Do you recommend, somebody asked the question, do you recommend sharing your link with trusted sources? I think that's 100% true. You only want to share links with trusted sources. Since this is just a demo site and things like that, I don't mind using open share, and it's going to die after 5 days anyhow. And I would say if you have no need to share anymore, make sure you turn off your shares. So if you don't need those shared links anymore, make sure you're turning them off. This was not being shared anymore. Okay. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to give you guys back the last 5 minutes of your afternoon, and hope you guys are going to go out and have an amazing lunch. Or I guess we had some people from all over the world today. I forgot where that was coming from, but somebody was from the UK. So that's nice. And from Austin. All right, we're all over the place. And hello from India. That's cool. So I do these training classes about once a month. I try to do once a month. I'm not always the best at getting a new training class every month, but you all have my email. If there is something that you guys want to hear about, or you wanted to know more about on a Microsoft product or any product, send me a link. It's letting me know that I'm under the 5-minute mark. So any last questions? I'll stay on for 5 minutes. If there's somebody that wants to put anything out there, I'm here for you. I'm going to probably do another training again next month on Teams. We'll probably do one on Teams. There's a lot to learn about Teams and do that. SharePoint and OneDrive are near and dear to my heart because I think that this is where file storage needs to head to, is storing stuff on here is really nice because you can be on a computer that you've never touched before and access to all your files anywhere in the world. Do I teach Power Automate? I haven't done a Power Automate training class yet, but I'm happy to do one. It would, you know, I would say it's probably not going to, you know, like this one was pretty well received. We got almost 100 people on a Power Automate. I don't think I'm going to get nearly that many people because it is a little complicated, but we can definitely do a Power Automate one probably towards November. Yeah, Power Automate's pretty cool stuff. You have to have different licensing depending on your license, but you can create pretty cool workflows, and they have some that are just right out of the box. Everybody always asks me what Yammer is, and if you want to know, I think it's one day not going to be a product by Microsoft, but it's basically it's like Facebook, but internal only for companies. I haven't found a whole lot of use for it. I think Teams is a lot more useful. But even though you can migrate over from, OneDrive and DropBox, um, there's all kinds of integrations that they do between the two. So don't feel like you're forced to. Lots and lots of templates in the flow process. All right, guys, I'm going to stop the recording.